Hey everyone, I'm Brad Wood and I'm a solutions consultant with Sketch Development. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to use Jira Automation to automatically turn work items and field values into structured Confluence pages. We'll look at a couple of different formatting options and discuss some real-world use cases as well. At Sketch Development, we're an Atlassian solutions partner and we work with teams on consulting, licensing, and training across the entire Atlassian toolset. Capturing a snapshot of Jira work items is something we've seen teams struggle with, and utilizing automation between Jira and Confluence can help meet that need. So with that, let's jump into Jira. So here we're looking at a Scrum board in Jira. Let's say our sprint is ready to be closed, but we have a handful of work items that aren't finished. These might roll over into the next sprint, but before that happens, we might want to take a snapshot of their current state. What was in scope in the sprint, who owned the work, and the status that those work items were in the moment that the sprint ended. Rather than documenting that manually, we can use Jira Automation to create a Confluence page when the sprint closes. So I'm going to go ahead and close the sprint, and we'll just click Complete Sprint, and we'll say we'll move those to a new sprint and click Complete Sprint. And when I do this, an automation is going to fire that creates a new Confluence page using the sprint name and the sprint close date, and then loops through every issue in that sprint to populate a table. So let's jump over to Confluence now, and we can see what that looks like. So I am just going to refresh my space, and we can see here, demo sprint 21, status snapshot, and here's that page, here's that page and that table that I just talked about. You can see the sprint name in the title of the page. We can see all of the issues that were in that sprint, including links to those issues. We see the summaries, the description, the assignee, and then the status at closing, which is the status that those work items were in the moment that this automation fired, which is the moment that the sprint closed. And of course, we can pull in any other fields we want to this table. So our custom fields that we have configured, our system fields, maybe dates, priority, really any field can be added to this table using the same approach. The one thing I want to call out on this table is that this is not a live view. So once this page is created, the data is frozen. Even if these work items change later, this page will always reflect what these items looked like at that particular time that this page was created. And so from a configuration standpoint, this is really all done with standard Jira Automation, so we don't require any apps, there's no scripting, just the out-of-the-box automation parameters that you're probably already familiar with. And one thing I do want to show on this table too is this is sortable, so we can sort by key, we can sort by summary, description, any of these columns, even the status, so we can see we had one work item that was done in this sprint when it closed, one in progress, and one was in to do. So let's talk about some use cases for this besides this example and who's going to benefit from this. So this example, our Scrum Masters really get a lot of value. They end up with a historical snapshot of the sprint at closing, which can be used for sprint reviews, retros, or simply as a record of what actually happened during that iteration. But outside of our Scrum teams, maybe project managers can use this same automation pattern in a slightly different way. Imagine if you're a PM and you need to send a weekly project status update to your stakeholders. Instead of building that document manually each time, Jira Automation can generate it for you. And your automation rule could be scheduled to run maybe every Friday afternoon or triggered manually for ad hoc meetings or impromptu status requests. So let's go ahead and run that right now. So I've got an epic here. It's got 2 tasks and a story underneath it, and I'm just going to head over here to my automation section, and I've got this project manager create status report automation. I'll click that and let this run. We're going to jump back over to Confluence and give this a refresh. And now we see Brad's project status report, February 18th, 2026. So not only are we pulling some of the same fields and creating some of the same table columns that we saw earlier, we're pulling dates, we're pulling the name of that epic, and here's a link to it. The week of February 18th is pulling today's date dynamically. We can see here overall status 1 of 3 completed. So we're actually doing a little bit of math here through automation to add up the total number of work items and then calculate how many of those are done. And so in this case, we can see completed items. We've got 1. The total number of items in this epic is 3. And so that's where that calculation is coming from. Our at-risk items, overdue or due in the next 5 days, you can see that these 2 work items are overdue. We're actually omitting any work items that are done here using JQL. Completed items, again, here's that done item, and then in progress items. Another thing we're doing here is generating this action items section for our PM. So if they want to use this for, again, a status update meeting, something like that, they could just edit the page, add those action items here to this sort of templatized page, and then save them right here. We can even create some dividers, and we can add emojis to our Confluence pages that are created from from Jira. And then lastly, we can also apply this same concept to tickets in JSM for things like incident postmortems or maybe even change documentation. And so I've got an example of this right here that I created a couple of days ago. And this is just another example of a use case. So maybe when a change is approved, which is what the trigger was in this example, we are capturing a number of different fields from that change ticket. So again, the summary with a link here, the change type, the risk level, the status at approval. So it went into the awaiting implementation status once this approval was provided. In the approval details, we see this ticket was approved by me at a specific time on a specific day. And then there's a custom field approval rationale where I'm saying this is a low risk change and is approved. So that's my rationale as to why I am approving this change. And then impact and scope, we've got the affected service. So this change is on the website and it is minor impact and low urgency. So just some other examples of other fields and other use cases that you can capture in your Confluence pages that are generated from Jira. Again, this is native to automation. Between Jira and Confluence now, there's a little bit of configuration when you first set up your rule to choose the space that you're creating this content in and so on and so forth. But it is relatively straightforward to configure, and the sky is kind of limit for the different parameters you can configure using this method. So that's just a quick look at how you can use Jira Automation to create Confluence content. If you're already using both tools, this is a great way to turn live work into lasting knowledge, saving time, and reducing manual effort. At Sketch Development, we design and configure solutions like this for our clients all the time. If you'd like to learn more about this solution or anything else in the Atlassian ecosystem, feel free to reach out to me via email or LinkedIn. Both are included in the video description. I'd be happy to talk through your organization's specific needs. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.